Greetings and welcome back, adventurers. I'm Kane.
And I'm Empress.
Now I know what you're all here for. You're looking for the answer to the question in the title of the video.
What class should I play?
People will tell you all day long to play this class, or this class is the best, this class is overpowered. Yeah, we've heard it a million times.
But really the answer to that question can only be decided by you. Class balance changes pretty frequently, and honestly any class that you pick, love to play, and stick with for a long time and work hard at learning will be rewarding to play. There isn't a single class in Black Desert that is useless, unplayable, or just straight up bad.
So our goal for this video is to give you a look at the 6 classes we're going to have at release on Xbox, and help you choose one that's going to be a good fit for your playstyle. There are already a lot of videos out there covering how the classes will play with Awakening, but we want to give you a look at how each class will play in the early game, and what their strengths are in comparison to each other.
So first up, we're going to take a look at Ranger. Now, I rated Ranger at a difficulty level of 3 out of 5, and the reason that I put it at a 3 is because there are some animation cancels that you do have to learn to do and master to be able to play the class efficiently. But once you get the hang of them, and there's only, a couple, it's not too hard. So I gave farming a 4 out of 5 because Rangers have to use a lot of potions to be able to clear effectively, but they can clear the fastest with those potions. So for power, I put them at a 5 out of 5 because they have really high consistent damage that isn't too reliant on cooldowns. For utility, I put them at a 2 because they don't really have a whole lot of debuffs or buffs that they can give to themselves or to other people. So for defense, I gave them a 1 out of 5 because they don't really have any kind of defenses built into their skills like frontal block or super armor. They're pretty vulnerable to CC, pretty squishy class. For mobility, I gave them a 4 out of 5 because as you're doing damage on a ranger, you're moving. Just about every single skill that they have keeps you on the move. If you usually like to play a glass cannon range carry sort of role, then Ranger's a really good fit for you.
Alright, next up is Warrior. Farming, we're going to give it a 3 out of 5. The Warrior doesn't have massive AoE abilities to instant clear mobs or anything like that. It's mostly some sustained frontal, cone area damage, and they have 1 or 2 large skills that can clear pretty quickly, but those have cooldowns. Power, we're going to give it a 3 out of 5. The Warrior's mostly defensive, so you can't have your cake and eat it too. Utility, we're going to give it a 2 out of 5. They have some defensive capabilities, super armor, but for the most part they really don't have much sustain at all. As for party play, the really only thing they have to offer is being a wall and being able to grapple. Defense, we're giving it a 5 out of 5. Warriors are able to sit there and hold that shield up for a long time. Its frontal guard and damage to the back is reduced. They also have increased resistances at the time. Mobility, we're giving them a 3 out of 5. They have some short mobility skills, but the cooldowns are long and they can't really be used that much. Now, the Warriors are basic sword and board. Naturally, you won't be dishing out tons of deeps here, but the Warrior has some pretty decent burst damage. Scars of Dusk, for instance, will be one of your main abilities. It's got a 10-second cooldown, but good damage and a massive bleed. They are the pinnacle of defense at the moment, so when the shield goes up, your opponent might as well not even try to break the guard. Well, if you have the DP to back it up.
Now on to Sorceress. So for difficulty, I rated Sorceress at 4 out of 5 stars because they do have another resource called Shards of Darkness that they have to manage in order to do the most with their skills. Their combos are also not super intuitive, as sometimes when you're reading through the skills, it doesn't say exactly what every skill does. So for farming, I put them at 3 out of 5 stars. They can clear pretty well, but they don't have very large AoEs. For power, I put them at a 4 out of 5. because they can do a serious amount of damage, especially when you're using the Shards of Darkness as a part of your combo on certain skills. It boosts the damage of those skills and honestly makes them have very, very high one combo potential. So for utility, I gave them a 3 out of 5 because they do have an AP buff that can be shared with other people, a DP buff, and a lot of debuffs built into their skills. For defense, I give them a 3 out of 5 because of the previously mentioned DP buff, along with having a frontal block on one of their most important skills if it's not on cooldown, and they also have a lot of iframes through their mobility. Speaking of which, I give their mobility a 5 out of 5. They're definitely the most mobile class out of the 6 that we had to choose from. If you favor assassins or are looking for a class with a high skill ceiling, Sorc is a really good choice.
So for difficulty, we gave them a 2 out of 5. The Berserker's fairly easy to grasp, but at the same time, a skilled Berserker is pretty terrifying. For farming, we gave them a 3 out of 5. They have a lot of spin to win, so that helps them a lot, but compared to other classes, it's still kind of lackluster. Power, we gave them a 3 out of 5. They do a lot of sustained damage, not too much burst, but it's enough to kill. Utility, we gave them a 3 out of 5. They're pretty useful in team fights due to their grabs, and they have a lot of self-sustain. Defense, we gave them a 4 out of 5. Their HP pool is honestly massive, and it takes a lot to go through that. They're also really good at just absorbing damage. I mean, they have plenty of super armor to keep them from being CC chained. Mobility, we gave them a 3 out of 5. They do have decent mobility, but it's mostly in bursts. So there's cooldowns, and there's a lot of resource management that comes into play there. Berserker is a good choice for players who just want to pick up a class and smash face. Their healing and CC keeps them in fights for a long time. So if you like to play bruisers that do decent damage, but also have good survivability, this is the class for you.
Now for Witch and Wizard, we'll just cover them both at the same time since the base classes are exactly the same. I rate them at a difficulty of 1 out of 5 stars because they don't really have to combo, you just kind of have to know what each skill does and be able to manage your cooldowns. For damage, I put them at a 4 out of 5 stars. It would be a 5, but a lot of their highest damage comes from very long cooldown skills, making it kind of inconsistent. For farming, I put them at a 5 out of 5 because, quite simply, they are the most efficient farming class early on. They can restore their mana and their health, they never run out of either resource, and they have massive AoEs that make their clearing just super efficient. So for utility, I gave them a 5 out of 5. They're the only class that can heal other players, and they can also give them buffs like Speed Spell and Protected Area, which are super useful in large group play. For defense, I gave them a 3 out of 5, which might sound a little bit weird, but they actually have pretty good survivability through things like Magic Bubble and Protected Area if used at the right time, along with their ability to teleport out and then heal themselves up. For mobility, I gave them a 1 out of 5, and this is because they only have one real movement ability, and it has a pretty long cooldown. If you usually play mages or healers, this class would be a good fit.
So that's all we have for this first video, but we have a series planned for all the classes. Let us know down in the comments which class you want us to do a more in-depth video on first. Don't forget to subscribe to become a member of the BDO Empire and sacrifice your soul to the Black Spirit. I'm Kane.
And I'm Empress.
Godspeed, adventurers.